It's a difficult one. It's a yes and a no, I believe. It depends on where they are.
Tricky.
So there's a lot of talk, like at the moment, the focus on them in hotels. And whilst they're in hotels, that is an initial accommodation. They don't stay in there until their decision.
No.
They're then placed in alternative accommodations, and it's at that point, I believe, their well-being is ever so slightly placed above those of the British public in regards to people who are in receipt of benefits. They're on universal credit. They may have their rent paid for them up to a certain amount in Hull. If you're a single person, one bedroom, you receive up to, I believe it's 301, or it's changed, £311 a month. But the rents in the area are ever so slightly higher than that. Whereas when they're released from their hotels into initial accommodation, their rent is completely covered for them, as well as their council tax, gas, electric, and they also receive a weekly allowance, which, depending on the family size, if it's a single person, £45 a week. You know, job seekers, universal credit, they're going to receive more than that. But if it's a family, it's £45 per person. Now, if you've got a three-child family, husband and a wife, in a 5-week month at £45 per week per person, and all bills are currently paid for, if you compared that to somebody who is in receipt of, disability living allowance, they're still having to pay their other bills on top of what they receive. And that, I believe, then places their well-being, their struggle, below those who are coming illegally.
The people who receive the £45 a week and who are placed in accommodation which is paid for by the state, they're not allowed to work, are they?
They're not allowed to work, no.
So who else would be paying for it?
How do you mean by that? They're £45 a week, do you mean? Sorry.
If we agree that they can't work because their claim is being processed, but we can't have them sleep on the street.
Of course not, no.
Who pays for the accommodation that they're kept in or that they are housed in?
Yes, I agree on that side. But when you've got to compare it to a person working, their well-being is, of course, the person, the illegal migrant, their well-being isn't, I believe, placed above. But if you compare it to somebody who isn't working through mental health or disability, they can't work either. And they do receive their disability, their personal independence payments.
Which is more than £45 per week.
Absolutely, yes. But they still have to cover their council tax, their gas, their electric, all of the bills and food. Whereas an illegal immigrant in an accommodation outside of a hotel waiting on their decision has all of those covered for them. Yes, I agree they can't work. It's a very difficult one on that, which is where I'm so yes and no on their well-being, because they can't work and that £45 isn't stretching far in regards to food. But if you compare it to somebody who is unable to work, receiving £600 a month, but having to cover all of their bills out of that they can be left with less than £45 per week for food.
Listen, James, there will be people who are in that situation, I have no doubt, and that's terrible for them. And maybe the government should be doing more to protect them from falling into arrears with their rent. I don't know. I guess my point would be, well, if we don't want to end up paying for the accommodation of the people that we're still testing the claims of, their asylum claims, do the claims testing quicker. Yeah,
absolutely, I agree. The claims, so I believe, I'm unsure on how the claims are obviously checked. I know there's a big backlog of them.
Massive.
But I'm sure there's got to be some kind of way to create a team amongst them to streamline certain ones where they may already have claimed or put in a claim in an alternative country and been given the right to remain in there, but have then chosen to move on.
Yes, I've got an example of that, James, actually. When I went to the Calais camp, there was a chap there who had left Pakistan for fear of a reprisal from a gang or a group. His family were back in Pakistan. He'd left, got to Italy on the boats, terrible, terrible journey, been given leave to remain in Italy. He had a home. He was told that he could bring his family over. He didn't want to do that. He ended up in a caravan in Calais. And I thought, not sure about that.